is an announcement that occurred from one of my favorite creators, video game creators.
I know this guy.
Has one of my favorite games, or my favorite game of all time. And we've had this conversation before, Arthur. We've had drunk episodes talking about this, me being angry, and you predicting, and I think you kind of predicted this.
Yeah.
And I was kind of skeptical as well, especially from the past reports that we've talked about as far as like the rumors of Hideo Kojima, that's what we're talking about, bringing ideas to PlayStation and them kind of scoffing on different ideas or turning them down or whatever. You know, so basically what I'm talking about here is that there is the announcement that the next game project will be in collaboration with Xbox Game Studios. A Steam developer himself, he announced it. Said that neither Kojima nor Microsoft shared any more details, but it's going to be a completely new game. And he definitely said it's a game that he's been wanting to make for a long time.
A passion project.
A passion project.
That's the second point that I called. I
Yes.
said, one, Kojima's going to come to Xbox. I didn't call like Solo, but I said he's going to stay. He's going to come to Xbox. And two, he's going to have the window to do what he does. Yeah. And I love fucking being right.
Now, yeah. So kudos to you on that. And I was kind of thinking about that as well. Now, I find it interesting that he said afterwards, because people were really, people are fucking crazy. Some people were really upset at him because he wasn't holding an allegiance to PlayStation. I'm like, have you guys been reading any news of what's been going on with Sony? Like it's completely, it's like not the same company that it was 10 years ago. But he had another like tweet / announcement via social media saying that, you know, they say that they have a good partnership or relationship with Sony, you know, regardless of this. This is just something that they're doing with Microsoft. But in my opinion, bro, like they fucked up. Like to me, it's like the exact same thing as far as like the MLB The Show thing. Like they say, like in their defense, they're like, you know what? You know, like we decided not to work with Sony anymore. Like they didn't do anything wrong. We just decided. But from a business standpoint, my business brain, if you lose a relationship and have that relationship wandered to somebody else because you didn't take care of them far enough, because if you take care of them far enough, they won't go anywhere. People will hold allegiance. So to me, that just shows just as far as like the loss of identity of Sony. Like we talked about before recording, I think you mentioned this, Church. You were like, what is their mascot now? And I was like trying to think, and I'm like, oh, they got the Ratchet and Clank thing, and they got the Thievis Raccoonus. I'm like, what do they have? Like Hideo Kojima was one of the last really solid reasons for people to flock to PlayStation. Like I remember talking about this when I worked at GameStop. Like people literally, I saw people literally buy PlayStation 3s and 4s because of Hideo Kojima. Because of the games that released, because of Subsistence or whatever other game that came out, even Death Stranding, even though Death Stranding numbers wise, when it first came out, it did not do as well as hoped. And I think that's why Sony fucked over Kojima. Even though he has his own production studio, they kind of fucked him over. You know, and Death Stranding did well afterwards, especially on PC afterwards. But it's just, to me, it's really disappointing that Sony is taking this macro approach and focusing on things that weren't really a part of their brand initially to gain market share, but doing it in a very bad way. Like we talked about before, you're seeing God of War that came out, 2016 for $50 on Steam. No, that doesn't make any sense. Like the PC gamers are cheap. You know what I mean? Like
Steam sales, man. Steam
sales, Epic Game sales. I was talking to Arthur, last couple episodes. I got Borderlands 3 for free. I got the BioShock collection for free. You know what I mean? Like this, whatever they're gonna give me, and they've had a bunch of sales too. Like I am so disappointed with their direction as far as for like how they're keeping some of these, or losing those relationships, I should say. And obviously they do have the Horizon Forbidden West, Church, you were talking about that as far as, that game was good, it came out earlier this year. So I do give them credit for that. And this state of play was much better, as far as seeing some of these other things. But I feel like for that state of play, man, to me, they didn't have a game. To me, they didn't have a game where I was like, yes, like that Overwatch 2 moment for the Microsoft conference. That I haven't had that moment in a long time. You know what I mean? And I was driving. I wasn't even watching it at my home, but like having moments like that where like, wow, like that's cool that's coming that pretty soon. Like I can't say that I've had that really for PlayStation. I don't know. I mean, let me talk to you, Church, since you are a Sony console owner. What are your thoughts about this whole Hideo Kojima thing? And then as far as just where PlayStation is going from a directional basis.
Yeah, so my thoughts about I'll tackle the Kojima coming to Xbox first. I think it's a wonderful partnership.
Yeah.
It makes sense. Kojima has always been fascinated with like Western culture, Western filmmakers. It's where he got the inspiration for Solid Snake off the famous movie. So him coming over here after his, struggle with the East with Konami, and then maybe even Sony now that we're speculating because Death Stranding didn't do the numbers that Sony wants. And we saw this with Sony doing this with Days Gone as well. Not necessarily getting a sequel as well because it didn't hit a certain benchmark.
That guy was mad too.
I know, right?
He's like, fuck you both, give us $60, and we're like, no.
Right?
That guy was just pissed at everybody.
Yeah, he was mad at everyone.
He was burning. He was burning bridges. My God.
Yeah.
Fuck the gamers. Fuck Sony.
And journalists are like, okay, what did he say? Say that again so I can post this. Yeah.
So I think this partnership is cool. I'm less excited about the nature of the game. The cloud-based game, I've done cloud gaming. I like Kojima. I like his weird quirkiness. I like what he does. I just hope that playing the game is fun to play. I don't know if I need to be connected to the internet constantly. I have questions, and that's never a bad place. But I can't. It's nothing negative. So how far do I think this game is out? 2 years. Possibly. I think Kojima's in a place where you can do a quick turnaround just with Death Stranding as well. So I think this is great for Xbox. In terms of Sony's direction, interesting choices they're making. They're focusing on the hits. I love God of War. That came out in like 2016, 2018. Yeah. It's the reason I bought a PlayStation 5, God of War 2. It's just straight up like my bias. I want to play that game.
Yeah.
I think the direction is focusing on the first party games and then doing DLC later. I think that they want to release Horizon, and then a year from now we're going to get a DLC for an expansion next year to keep that life of that game going. Yeah. And you can see that with Ghost of Tsushima too. So I think Sony is making some of the best video games to play first party. Visually, there's nothing like God of War in this game that came out in 2018. Yeah. With Ghost of Tsushima or Horizon. But in terms of identity, I mean, I think they're losing it. I think with Xbox doing the moves and their acquisitions, you've seen Sony fighting, on the back foot. They're doing desperate partnerships with
Bungie.
Bungie, thank you, sir. Yeah, Bungie. Weird titles coming together. I don't know. Like, I don't know what their mascot is. They have this weird pseudo Game Pass, but it's not day one.
Oh man,
yeah. So I think as long as the hit's still coming, I don't think they're in a bad part, but they need to make sure the games are solid because as identity right now, playing $70 for a game, the Game Pass option is just very limited. I think that it's very limited and not necessarily consumer friendly, gamer friendly too. Like what we want more. And those are kind of my thoughts. I'm trying to.
Great points. No, great points. Absolutely. I like what you said, especially where it's like, I need this to be fun to play. It's like, I respect you, but I need the game to be fun to play. So I think that's a great point as well. Arthur, lay it on me. What's your thoughts?
This is a long time coming, dude. I mean, how many
Really?
Yeah.
What?
I talked about this fucking over a year ago.
Yeah, as far as coming to Xbox.
Yeah,
we've been chatting about this for a while.
I mean, what the fuck happened to PT? People, you can still make if you're listening to this and you have a Sony console, a PT with PT still on it, make your fucking money and put that shit on eBay. People will fucking buy it. Like there's a reason for that. Like Kojima, like I it's got to the point where I joke with Jarrell, but there's a reason why so many people cling to these rumors every fucking time because they want a Kojima game. Yeah. And like we mentioned how the not Death Stranding, the zombie game we just talked about with the motorcycle. Days Gone. How the Days Gone guy was shitting on Sony, and then also we had the article from the indie. Remember that indie developer where it said Sony is not welcoming to indie games.
Yeah,
Sony is not. So Sony is not welcoming indie games. So it's like you look at this. You look at like this. Like you look at the breadcrumbs of this trail of like. Again, what the fuck is Sony doing? They lost MLB. They lost MLB The Show, and the biggest explanation point or clapback in that situation is that motherfucker was on Game Pass. That's just not even on their fucking subscription service.
Yeah.
So if you're a Sony owner and you want to play the show, fuck you, $70. If you're an Xbox customer and you want to play a previous Sony exclusive game, come on over. It's on fucking Game Pass.
Right.
So I mean, so what is Sony doing? You know, they're not welcoming to indie. They say they want blockbuster games only. Kojima's not anything. All he does is fucking blockbusters. Like his canceled game had Norman Reedus. The new game we eventually got had Norman Reedus again. So it's like again, it's like, oh, we're here for blockbusters. Oh, okay, well, we don't want Kojima to do his passion project. Well, fucking Xbox will let him do it.
Yeah.
So it's you know what I mean.
Yeah.
The breadcrumbs of to me, this breadcrumb trail of what Sony is doing is like. What are they doing?
Yeah, it's weird because it's like to me, I feel like looking at the numbers, right? Looking at the numbers, Sony's doing fine. Like they have like what was arguably the highest selling console or whatever, like 20 million PS5 sold. Even though a lot of those consoles are not to the people that actually want to buy them. I'm seeing more celebrities with PS5s than anybody else. But. So from a numbers basis, they look fine. But when it comes to the customers, the early adopters, it's like they're wiping the slate clean.
I mean,
in my opinion,
I'm gonna push back on that opinion a little bit, maybe, because it's one of those things that Sony's playing a different game than Microsoft. Microsoft is Microsoft.
They're here to win. That's what they're doing.
Well, yeah, but they also like $1 trillion company, right?
Oh, yeah.
Sony is nowhere that doesn't have the capital to compete on those levels. So those hits have to be hits. The reasons for like me to come to God, it has to work. And sadly, it is alienating some of the customers that that love the golden era of the PS2, where you had like a diversity of games, where you were taking risks on titles. But now, because the costs are so expensive to make these AAA games, it needs to be a sure thing almost. I do not think this partnership with Kojima is meaning that he's not working with Sony. I think Kojima is in the best place in his career where he can just go to this company, get some money, make the game he wants to, and go to this company and gets the money and make the game he wants to. So I think he's eating good, but I don't think Sony has lost the partnership. I highly expect Death Stranding 2 to get announced as relatively soon, to be honest with you. I think it's an easy thing for Sony to do. The assets are already there, which is improve the graphics and expand upon the gameplay. But do you guys really think Sony's not having Kojima again?
I think the clock's ticking for us to see the phrase Kojima and Xbox exclusive in the same sentence. I think we're getting closer to that.
See, because I mean, on the contrary, like he has his own production studio, so like he doesn't need to have an allegiance to anybody. He just wants to make games. He wants to make creative games. He wants to have fun doing it, right? So, but I think when it comes to Arthur's point, as far as for, if he's able to have a really good, deal or contract and deciding who to be best to work with, I could see him leaning more towards Xbox. I feel like when it comes to exclusivity, I feel like that word's kind of slowly but surely being tossed out the window just because companies want market share, and they can't have market share if something's exclusive to the console. So like, things like crossplay and that stuff, like, those are things to me, those are like examples of like, no, like everyone get in on this, you know what I mean? So, but I think when it comes to just maybe not exclusive to Xbox, but him just not really fucking with PlayStation. And the thing is that there's a lot of fans of Kojima, and he is a very stoic and very humble and like very to himself person.
Very secret of the dude.
I don't think he would. Yeah, and it's just about his business, and I respect it. Yeah. But he's not a messy person. Is my point. I don't think he would be messy to be like, nah, fuck Sony. Unless he really got pissed
Well,
off.
hold on, man. You a Metal Gear Solid fan. The MGS5 had a whole fuck you thing to Konami in it. Even the demo, too.
That's Konami. That's Konami. That's nothing to do with Kojima. I'm talking about Kojima. I'm talking about if Kojima says, like, when it comes to him working with Sony, and if they did him wrong, and if he said, like I wanted to work with them, but they didn't want to work with me. There would be a bunch of PlayStation fans not wanting to fuck with Sony. To me, the problem with
they'll be mad, like, you scared away Kojima.
Yeah, like the problem with today is that no one's really putting their money where their mouth is. You know what I mean? So, like, for example, like, I don't want to dive back into this conversation, but I'm just using it as an example. Like Fallout 76, Arthur's points on why he's upset about it and the reasons why, like, Erie and Starfield, very relevant. The problem is so many people are still playing Fallout 76 and still playing add-ons. That's why he keeps still making it. Same reason for Grand Theft Auto Online. Fucking Grand Theft Auto Online is a mess. You know, like, I agree. Like, I agree with Arthur on every point that we've made. People are still playing it. They keep making content for it. The game's almost 10 years old. Like, they're still making content for it. So, like, I wish people would put their money where their mouth is when it comes to things like this, because he's a treasure, man. No one makes games like him. And, like, when you have people like Kojima, like, treasure that. And that's why I appreciate Phil Spencer, because he understands those relationships.
You know what? I'm with you. I think it is a big miss from Sony. I don't think they ruined the relationship, but when you have Kojima, you should have gobbled him up, because he is a legend because of his games. But at another viewpoint, when we used to, like, look at game developers, there was the guy who made Gears of War.
Yeah.
I forget his. I think he's the last one.
Belinsky. Yeah, Eric Belinsky. Yeah.
I think he's the last one.
Yeah.
Right. Not only is he Kojima,
he's like the last legend of his era.
Yeah. But
and then he created Fortnite, and then we don't know where it is.
Right.
He's like, I have an island somewhere.
Exactly. Like, will we, like, idolize game developers? Like, yo, this is Kojima. This is this guy. I think he's the last of it. And I think it's a valuable piece to have, because it's like, it is a mascot. There's your mascot.
Yes.
PlayStation, Kojima. I could have had this, because he is the entity in itself. And, like, I think Phil Spencer sensed that too. If he can just have, because it's Kojima and Phil, I guess, because since Reggie retired from Nintendo. And PlayStation. Yeah, I know, right? My body's ready.
We need you back, Reggie.
Right.
Yeah.
Hey, man, shout out to Reggie. Brought record-breaking stock to GameStop.
We have few icons in this industry and fewer rock stars.
Yeah.
And I think it is a big get for Phil, if he can lock this down with this keep Kojima, because it will be, who's the next rock star after Kojima? None. Who's the next? I can't think of one. Correct me if am I tripping? Like,
if you'd have asked me, like, a few years ago, I would have said Randy Pitchford, but him and 2K have gone down. And like you said, like, he's a rock. He's a rock star. Another thing too. Again, he's an artist. And like we were saying when we were just shooting the shit before the recording. Phil Spencer's a gamer. I feel like Jim Ryan is a businessman. It feels like he's a businessman. It's like he treats Sony like a. To be fair, be blunt, fine. We all gotta make our bread. He treats Sony like a business, whereas I think Phil Spencer treats Microsoft as a tool or a window into an art. And yes, there's a paycheck that's going to come along the way, but I feel like on a creative level, Kojima and Phil will just blend better or get along better in a working relationship than the businessman that Jim Ryan feels like.
He has a gamer mindset. Yeah, you're absolutely right. He has a gamer mindset. He's a businessman, but he has a gamer mindset. He understands the early adopters. He just understands these types of relationships that are very special, and like you said, like, Microsoft has the cachet and they're in a position, like they're like the third or the second most, like, wealthiest company in the planet. So, like, they have the ability to lose market share. That's why you have Game Pass. That's why you have, like, oh, here, it's for free. You know what I mean? Like, they can afford to lose money to get more people on their app. So, like, they have that. But I do appreciate Phil Spencer. He thinks of it almost like on a Nintendo basis, where he knows these people like that guy, like, hey, like, yeah, work with this. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And that, to me, that speaks volumes. So I guess, like, wrapping this up, as far as for, like, this segment, like, it would be nice to have a point where we can say, like, Jim Ryan, like, maybe you're moving the needle when it comes to like the numbers basis, but when it comes to these early adopters and people like remembering PlayStation for what it was and some of these games and whatnot, and like them fucking over customers on like just like how they present these old school games and trying to sell them back to us for 50, 60 bucks. Like, no more. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, yes, you guys aren't making Microsoft money, but just manage your money better. Why'd you buy Bungie? You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, don't make stupid fucking decisions. Like, Nintendo doesn't make as much money as Microsoft, but the decisions they make are stern and they make sense, and they sell a lot of fucking games and consoles. You know what I mean? Like, they just make smart decisions. So it's like I think we've talked about this, Arthur. Like, if you have to look at Nintendo more on how you do business when it comes to just different decisions you make, do it. Like, don't have a state of play all the time. Have a state of play when you have something to fucking talk about. That's why I appreciated this one, because there's mad stuff. Like, stop giving me a state of play for one fucking game. You know what I mean? So, like, when it comes to this last state of play, I liked it. But when it comes to stuff like this, I do not. So I have